On a somber Monday, August 4th, listeners tuned into the New Heights podcast expecting the usual banter and lighthearted jokes from Travis and Jason Kelce, but what they found instead was a raw, deeply emotional episode that would linger in fans' minds for long after the credits rolled. The two NFL brothers, widely celebrated for their achievements on the field, sat before the camera not as athletes, but as sons dealing with the weight of unbearable grief as they opened up publicly for the first time about the death of Maguire, their father Ed Kelce's beloved partner of over 20 years. The episode began in a much different tone than the audience was used to. There were no jokes, no playful teasing, just a heavy silence that filled the room. Travis, head bowed under the brim of a black cap, and Jason, wrapped in a gray hoodie, with reddened eyes, both seemed to struggle to find the right words. After a long pause, Travis finally spoke up, his voice thick with emotion as he admitted, "This last week has been one of the hardest of our lives." Jason simply nodded, his lips pressed together, fighting back tears. On the podcast video feed, a black and white photograph appeared, showing Ed Kelce and Maguire at an event, both smiling radiantly with badges around their necks, cheering on their sons from the stands. It was a photograph that held more than just memories. It was a testament to a family bound together by love, support, and countless shared moments. Jason then carefully unfolded a slip of paper, its edges worn from being held many times, and began to read aloud the obituary that their father Ed had written for Marine. His voice trembled, yet remained steady enough for every word to be heard. "Mean was my light when days were darkest. She loved me without condition and loved my sons as though they were her own. She watched every game Travis and Jason ever played. If it weren't for Mean, I wouldn't be the man I am." Jason faltered, pausing to wipe tears from his eyes before Travis leaned in, taking over. "She always joked that I was a good boy who liked to make trouble. Every time I scored, she'd text, 'You've broken my old heart again, Travis.'" Both brothers let out a quiet laugh, their faces streaked with tears. The laughter was brief, overtaken by emotion as Jason bravely finished the last line. "Goodbye to the woman who made a house a home. See you somewhere across the galaxy." The words seemed to echo in the stillness, a heartfelt farewell to the woman who had been the silent strength of their family for over 2 decades. Maguire, though not their biological mother, had woven herself into every aspect of Travis and Jason's lives. She was always there, whether it was a huge NFL game or a small family get-together, her presence like a gentle breeze that calmed the stormiest of days. Jason recalled, "There were times Travis and I would argue, and she'd be the only one able to say just a few words, and suddenly everything would be okay." Travis added, voice barely above a whisper, "She didn't need to say much. Sometimes she'd just look at us with those eyes, and we'd know we were loved, even when we were wrong." Unexpectedly, Travis pulled out a letter, a handwritten note from Marine that she'd pinned to the brothers before she was hospitalized. As he began to read, his voice broke and the words came out haltingly. "My boys, don't be sad if one day I am gone. I've lived a full life because I could. Call you my children. Keep loving each other, protect each other, and always remember I am with you in your hearts." In the cheers from the stands, Jason reached out to Travis, both clearly overcome with emotion, and they sat for a moment in complete silence, just breathing, the sound of their fingers tapping nervously on the table filling the void. It was a moment of quiet so profound that even the audience felt compelled to pause with them. Finally, Jason spoke, breaking the silence in his usual matter-of-fact tone. "She wouldn't want us to be sad for too long. But today it's okay to be sad." Travis nodded, agreeing. Today belongs to her. Fans flooded the comment section with messages like, "It doesn't matter if you're an NFL superstar or just an ordinary person. Losing a mother figure is a pain we all feel. Our hearts are with you, Kelce family." Before they wrapped up the podcast, Travis offered a few words that summed up what they both felt. "We aren't just doing this to remember Mean, but to thank every single person who loved her, even if they met her once. She warmed everyone's heart, and from now on, every time we step onto the field, we're carrying a piece of her with us." Jason looked straight at the camera, his eyes rimmed with red, but his voice resolute. "She never wanted the spotlight, but today, she deserves for the world to know who she was." Jason, known for his toughness as Philadelphia Eagles' defensive wall, now appeared vulnerable, his words slow and heavy. I don't even know how to put into words how grateful my heart is. But I do know we're not alone in this loss. He spoke of the thousands of messages, cards, flowers, and social media tributes that had poured in from every corner. Old friends who remembered Marine from games back in 2015, kids as young as 10 who'd learned about them from the Super Bowl, and every single note felt like a warm embrace. Travis, usually the joker and the heartbeat of every show, seemed noticeably subdued, sharing how, after the first podcast about Marine's passing, messages began flooding in. I thought maybe a few friends would tune in, but then millions watched, and the comments made me cry. I've kept some of the best ones in my pocket ever since. He pulled out a comment he'd printed, reading, "Mean may not have been in the spotlight, but she's a hero in the Kelce family story. Now, thanks to you, she's part of our story too." Travis paused, placing his hand on the silver seal of Marine's funeral card, as if grounding himself in her memory. Throughout the episode, both brothers expressed amazement at the outpouring of support from beyond just sports fans. Letters came from teachers, nurses, retirees, veterans, even community groups abroad. Jason shared, "A Vietnamese doctor in California wrote and said Marine reminded him of his mother, a woman who loved quietly behind the scenes." Travis mentioned a fan from Ireland who sent a poem in Gaelic. Its translation, "Mothers never leave us. They become the wind at our backs, the cheers we hear when we take the stage of life." Both brothers thanked their NFL teams, the Chiefs and Eagles, for honoring Marine and letting them take time away from training to be with family. Jason recalled how Coach Reed called the moment he heard the news, saying only, "Family first, Jay. Don't worry about anything else." That simple kindness stayed with him. Travis mentioned how he received flowers from teammates like Patrick Mahomes, friends like Justin Timberlake, and even a note from Taylor Swift. What meant most, though, was a handwritten card from a Kansas City fan who'd made a bracelet labeled Team Marine, which she wore every day the week Marine passed. If you're touched by these stories, hit subscribe. More moments like this are ahead. At a special point in the episode, Jason and Travis announced the launch of the Maguire Foundation, a nonprofit aimed at supporting stepmothers and women in blended families. Jason said, "Marine never wanted fame, but if her story can help shine a light on women like her, she'd be happy." Travis nodded, recalling what Marine once told him, "Family doesn't have to be perfect, just loving." The foundation would be their way of spreading that love to those who needed it most, especially women who often went unthanked. Near the end of the episode, they played a voice recording their father Ed had made shortly before. In it, Ed's voice broke with grief. "I lost Marine, but I didn't lose our memories. I lost my partner, but not the love we shared. Thank you all for showing me her love lives on in so many hearts." The brothers didn't speak as the message played, their faces wet with tears, Travis resting his hand on Jason's shoulder. There was another silent moment, and then Travis shared that Marine's favorite song was Carole King's "You've Got a Friend," and every time she called, she'd softly sing the opening verse, "Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call." As the first gentle notes of the song played in the background, the screen faded to black, leaving listeners with the echo of that song and the memory of a woman who had changed their lives forever. Every detail of the episode reminded viewers of the power of love and the bonds that make a family, whether by blood or by heart. So, if you want to join this community and share more stories with us, make sure to subscribe now. Even as the episode ended, the impact of Marine Maguire's life, her quiet strength, her humor, and her unwavering love continued to ripple through everyone who heard her story. Travis and Jason Kelce, forever changed by her presence, promised that her memory would always be a part of their lives, on the field, at home, and in every story still to come.